What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got part 2 of the giant Keyforge FAQ. A couple of days ago we went through the big new rule changes and the timing chart. I'll link that in the description. Then we had a look through the first half of the FAQ, but it was too big. I didn't want to do a 25-minute video, so we split it into 2. So let's start off this half of the video having a little bit of a chat about Replicator. Now, Replicator is a really nice creature with a reap skill. Trigger the reap effect of another creature in play as if you control that creature. So you reap and you get to copy a different reap skill. Okay. So if I copy Sequis, where does the amber come from? So Sequis has a reap skill that lets you capture 1 amber. So where does the amber come from? And the answer is Sequis captures 1 amber from your opponent's pool. You are using Sequis as if you controlled it, so it captures from your opponent's pool. And that is, of course, really good, because then if you knock out the Sequis, you get the amber, and that, ladies and gentlemen, I am calling a win. So let's say there is a Sir Marrows in play. He's the one that captures any amber gained by reaping from your opponent. If I play Dimension Door and then reap, does Sir Marrows capture it? So Dimension Door reads, for the remainder of the turn, any amber you would gain from reaping is stolen from your opponent instead. So what actually happens? And the answer is, it's all to do with the word instead. You are not actually gaining amber by reaping. Instead, you are stealing from your opponent, and Sir Marrows doesn't capture stolen amber. Sir Marrows captures reaped amber, and therefore Sir Marrows will not capture that amber. We talked about this in the rules update the other day about instead, and it applies very nicely here indeed. So let's say, for argument's sake, my opponent forges 2 keys on their turn, and then I play a key hammer. What happens? Well, Keyhammer's a brilliant card, gives you an amber, and it reads, if your opponent forged a key on their previous turn, unforge it, your opponent gains 6 amber. Now, you need to be really careful with this on stuff like Wild Wormhole, because if you play this card, you do as much as you can. If you play this when your opponent didn't forge a key, you give them 6 amber. Of course, if you've got Grunt Buggy in play, and your opponent forged a key for like 20 amber, you unforge the key and they gain 6 amber, not the 20 they paid, so that's kind of funny. But if your opponent forged 2 keys, let's say they use something like a key charge to do the second one, can they keep one of them, or do you hammer both away? And the answer is, you hammer one, your opponent keeps the other. Nice and simple. If you read the card, it does seem to imply very strongly it is just 1. Having said that, it's nothing to stop you playing 2 key hammers and unforging both of them at once. So let's say you choose Logo as your active house and you play Phase Shift. That allows you to play a non-Logos card this turn. You then play Mimicry. Now, Mimicry is a non-Logos card. It is an untamed card. But you then use that to play Fogify, another Logos card. Can I still play one non-Logos card using Phase Shift? Because really what you've actually done is play Fogify. And the answer is no. Because you played Fogify, but you didn't really. You played Mimicry, which turned into Fogify. You still played an untamed card. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, no. Sticking with Mimicry here, what happens if you use Eureka using Mimicry after you've already played another card? Now, this is important because Eureka has the alpha keyword skill. That is to say, it must be the first thing you do during your turn. Well, it's too late. You play Mimicry, and you go, I want to copy Eureka, and then you go, well, you can't, it's an alpha card, and Mimicry goes back to your hand. Exactly the same as if you played a Wild Wormhole into a Eureka. You can't play it, so you just put the cards back and pretend it never happened. Okay. But what if the first thing you do during your turn Is playing Mimicry to copy Eureka, is that okay? Or does playing Mimicry stop you because you've already used a card? That's absolutely fine, as long as you haven't played, discarded, etc. any other cards. And the reason very simply is, yes, you're using Mimicry, but you're using Mimicry as Eureka. So it is still the first thing you've done during your turn, and it's absolutely fine. Go nuts. Be nice. Okay, so let's say my opponent has 10 amber and is about to force their second key, and I play Interdimensional Graft. Now, we've seen this come up big in Vault Tours, and it says that if your opponent forges a key on their next turn, they must give you the remaining amber. Sounds good. Well, what happens if my opponent has a Forge Master Og? Because Forge Master Og has a permanent skill that reads, after a player forges a key, they lose all of their remaining amber. What happens? Do you get the amber because of Interdimensional Graft, or does it get lost because of Forge Master Og? And the answer is, they both happen at the same time. So the active player chooses which one to resolve first. Now, the active player is a person forging a key, which is to say, they make the decision, and I'm not going to tell you what they're definitely going to do, but I can tell you that if their choice is losing 4 amber or giving you 4 amber, they're probably going to go Forge Master Og here. If I'm honest with you. Alrighty then. So a creature we don't talk about very much, GABOS Longarms. 5-power creature, and before a fight, you choose a creature, and GABOS Longarms deals damage to that creature rather than the one that it is actually fighting. So you fight a really weak creature, which does little damage to you, but then you choose something a bit more powerful to actually do the damage to. Well, what if it attacks an Amber Imp? Now, Amber Imp has elusive, but you're not really doing the damage to Amber Imp, you're doing it to something else. Can you still deal the damage? And the answer is yes. Because Amber Imp is elusive, and although you're fighting Amber Imp, you're actually dealing the damage to another creature, and if that creature doesn't have elusive, it will not be protected by Amber Imp's elusive. Amber Imp's elusive only protects Amber Imp. Now, this next one, as far as I'm concerned, is vindication for me. I have been arguing this since I first saw the card, and I've been told a million times I was wrong, but I wasn't. Go Wossy, go Wossy, go, go, go Wossy, go. Shadow of Dis reads, until your next turn, enemy creatures' text boxes are considered blank, except for traits. Traits are things like Beast and Martian. So what happens if you play something like Dusk Witch with Omega? Does it still end your turn, or does Shadow of Dis take away the Omega such that you play Shadow of Dis and your opponent can then play Dusk Witch and then play a bunch of other creatures that come into play ready because of the skill? And the answer is Shadow of Dis takes away Omega. Shadow of Dis only affects creatures while they are in play. When you play Dusk Witch, it is in play. Then the Omega comes in. But by that point, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little bit late. Because by the time the card is played, there is no Omega. Omega doesn't come in until Dusk Witch is played. When it is played, Shadow of Dis says it has a blank box. So there is no Omega to use. It doesn't have the Omega ability. Okay. Well, what about a card like Glimmer and Alpha? Well, unfortunately, that is not the same. Because Alpha comes in before playing the card. I.e., Omega, you play the card, then your turn ends. Alpha, you can only play this at the beginning of your turn or beginning of step 3, and then you play the card. So unfortunately, although Shadow of Dis will allow you to ignore Omega, it will not allow you to ignore Alpha, because Alpha is relevant before the card is played. Omega comes in after. There we go. What about Silvertooth? One last question on Shadow of Dis. So Silvertooth has a skill whereby it enters play ready. Does it still enter play ready if your opponent played a Shadow of Dis? And the answer is yes. Because one more time, Shadow of Dis affects creatures that are in play, but Silvertooth's ability affects how it comes into play. So that's absolutely fine. By the time it comes into play, it's already ready, and then it has a blank text box, but it doesn't matter. Ronnie Wristclocks. Ronnie Wristclocks is a very, very nice creature. When you play it, you steal an amber. If your opponent has 7 or more amber, you steal 2 instead. Okay. And you put Ronnie Wristclocks down to a little Nif. Next to a little Nif. Little Nif says, after a creature of Little Nif is used to fight, you steal an amber. Okay. Well, if you attack one of your opponent's creatures with Ronnie Wristclocks, but he's destroyed during the fight, does Little Nif's ability still allow me to steal an amber? And the answer is yes. Ronnie might not be around anymore, but Little Nif is. If Little Nif goes away, no more stealing. But even if the neighbour of Little Nif goes away, that's fine. It was still used to fight. Little Nif is still there. You're golden. And finally, some clearing up of Neutron Shark, though we kind of knew what it did. Neutron Shark has a brilliant, although risky skill, whereby when you play or fight or reap, you destroy an enemy creature or artifact, and a friendly creature or artifact. Then you discard the top card of your deck, and if it's not a Logos card, you do it all again. What if you get rid of Neutron Shark? If you use Neutron Shark to destroy Neutron Shark, and then flip over a non-Logos card, do you go again? And the answer is no. Because there is no Neutron Shark. Now, you have to fully resolve it. That is, destroy Neutron Shark and the enemy creature and flip the card. But no matter what house it is, Neutron Shark is no longer there to use the ability. As soon as Neutron Shark is no longer in play and you resolve the one you're doing, it cannot be triggered again. Unless you have another Neutron Shark. Now, I did split this into 2, and I would like some feedback. Let me know what you think. This was going to be a 25-minute video, and I thought that was a little bit long, so I split it into 2 to make it easier to consume. But let me know. I can do a 25-minute video in the future. For other games, people have told me they'd rather have 2 separate videos, but this is a different game, so let me know, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd rather have it as one giant video in the future. Let me know. And then make sure you like this, and tell me what else you think about the rules, of course. Comment section, go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about games like Keyforge and others. And do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio if you want to support the channel. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.